everybody, today's countdown series is going to be a very interesting high weightage topic. Now here in this chapter, I'm going to break down the top 5 most important topics that you have to study. Okay, so no nonsense, nothing that you have to worry about. Just follow the chapter and just follow the important topics and you will get full on marks from this chapter because the boards focus only on the high weightage parts a lot. Okay, so those of you who are aiming for a symptom or those of you who just want to get some decent marks, for all of you these topics are the most important. So focus here so that you can boost your score as well as you can confirm all your doubts whatever you have and clear your concepts. Okay, now all the notes, all updates, notification is available in our WhatsApp community, so definitely do join without any fail. And if you have not subscribed our channel, definitely do subscribe. Now in our channel, the countdown series is there exclusively for your board exam preparation. So now if you see in every session there will be a Google form link, okay, with the test for this particular chapter. And those of you who are consistently performing, you have a lot of advantages waiting for you at the end of 60 days. So definitely do follow us, subscribers, follow all the classes and attempt the tests. Okay, now the fast track batch in Xylem is already live. Now apart from the fast track batch, the Thalapathy batch for the 12th standards and the repeaters batch VETRI is definitely there to support you and help you. And apart from that, our exclusive crash course is coming your way as well. So if you are a person preparing for NEET exam, then this is the right place for you. Okay, so with this crash course you can start now and definitely ace your exams with a lot of confidence. Okay, so coming to your 10th standard portion, okay, the top 5 things we're going to discuss is firstly difference between sexual and asexual reproduction, commonly asked examiner favorite question. Okay, so there is no paper that does not touch this topic. Okay, so definitely very important. Then sexual reproduction in the flowering plants, then human reproductive system, fertilization, embryo development, and menstrual cycle and reproductive health. These are the topics that you have to remember. Okay, so let's go one by one. Firstly, asexual sexual reproduction. Clearly in asexual there is only one parent involved. Here there are 2 parents involved. Okay, so that is the difference. Secondly, there is no gamete formation or anything in the asexual, but sexual reproduction will have the gametes from the 2 parents that will fuse and form the zygote. Okay, so fertilization does not happen, but here definitely the fusion of gametes has to happen, fertilization has to happen. Then genetic variation is identical because there's only one parent producing asexually, then there is no variation, but sexual reproduction definitely will have variation. And the last point is the speed is obviously very fast for asexual because only one parent has to quickly multiply and give the next organism, but in sexual it will take some time. Okay, so it is a slow process comparatively. Now, asexual does not need that much energy, but sexual reproduction does, so it is a more complex process. Okay, and if you see how they will adapt to the environment, because there are variations that are being produced, because there is recombination that is happening, they can be adaptable better to the environment because of the variation. Okay, but that asexual reproduction does not involve anything like that. Now the number of offspring is generally fewer in the case of sexual reproduction, whereas asexual can produce multiple copies within a very small time. Okay, now where do you see this in all kinds of unicellular organisms like amoeba, hydra, spirogyra? All of these will have the asexual reproduction, but sexual reproduction will be seen only in the higher plants and animals. Okay, so this is the fundamental difference between asexual and sexual. Okay, now if you look at examples, binary fission or budding, vegetative propagation, all this, what happens, there is one individual, from there the some part of that person will grow and then it will break off and then that's about it. Or one cell will be there, it will divide into half and it will produce a binary, it will produce 2 products which we call as binary fission. Okay, now there can be multiple fission also. In the same cell many cutie cells will form and then they will all burst and disperse into many offsprings. Okay, so like that there are many processes of asexual reproduction. But when you look at sexual reproduction, it is not so simple like binary fission, multiple fission or budding, but it takes place through a complex series of events. Okay, coming to the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay, first you have to understand the structure of a flower so that you can understand the sexual reproduction. when you look at the structure of a flower, okay, it is the reproductive organs in the group of plants that we call as angiosperms. And in the angiosperms, we have 4 fundamental important whorls, okay, or structures that are present. So first whorl is that of the sepals, which we call as the calyx, okay, green structures are there which will protect the bud. Then we have the petals, so bright beautiful petals in the flower, you just definitely should have seen, okay, so they are there to attract the pollinators. This whorl is called as corolla. Then we have the male part of the plant, which we call as the stamens, okay, it has an anther and filament. So in the filament there is a sac like structure called the anther, inside which there will be the pollen grains, and these are nothing but the male gametes, okay. And then we have the carpel or the pistil, which is the female reproductive part, okay. So there is a small place where the pollens will come and sit, okay. Then there is a long tubular structure called the style, and then a large bulged structure called as the ovary, okay. And inside the ovary we have what we call the ovules, which are nothing but the egg cells of the plant, okay. So the egg cell will be present inside the ovules, which is the female gamete, okay, got it. So when you look at the types of plant flowers, okay, either they can have both the male and female parts, or they can have only one. So if they have only one sex, then it is unisex, only either the stamen or the pistil will be there, like papaya, watermelon, and so on. If you look at bisexual flowers, that is both are present in the same flowers, and that example can be mustard, hibiscus, and so on, okay. Now this interesting story is that, you know, my friend had a papaya house right in front of her house, okay, and they were all really excited because it was a wild plant, okay. They didn't bring the plant from anywhere, and they thought, oh, papaya plant is there outside my house and so many papayas are going to come to my house. But they saw the plant is growing, flower is coming, but there is no fruit, okay. So why is that? Because then later only they found out that it was the male plant, not the female plant. So obviously there will be no fruit that is there because there is no female part of the plant, okay. So this is just an example of a unisexual flower that can be there, okay, unisexual plants that can be there. Now pollination is, there is one stamen, there is a stigma, there is a pistil, okay. So the pollen grain has to come all the way and sit on the stigma. So this transfer is called as pollination. So either within the same flower, the same stamen and pistil can get pollinated, which is self-pollination, or it can be different. Now when I say different, it can be the same plant having female flower and male flower, or it can be 2 separate plants, okay. This, like I said, the papaya, one is a complete male papaya, the other one is a female papaya. So like that, 2 different plants also can be there, okay. Now this particular pollen transfer in those cases will definitely need an agent, which is wind, water, animals, and so on, okay. So once the pollination has taken place, okay, so different modes of pollination are there, and once the pollination is done, what happens? This pollen grain will come and sit on the stigma, and it will form a pollen tube all the way down the style, and it will reach the ovary and the ovule. There, the male gamete in the pollen grain will fuse with the egg cell in the ovule, okay, which is the female gamete, forming a zygote, okay. This is what will grow and form the embryo. Clear, everybody? So once the embryo has formed, then what will happen? The ovule becomes the seed. So inside that only the embryo is there, and from that the new plant is ready to grow, okay. So the ovule becomes the seed. So seed gives the next generation. Now the wall around the ovule, okay, the content around the ovule is nothing but the ovary, which will form the fruit. That's why you have a seed inside the fruit, okay. So this will ripen and form the fruit. Then the other parts, mostly they will fall off and they will disintegrate, okay. Now inside the seed, if you see, definitely we have an embryo, but along with the embryo we also have food supply, Okay, a lot of nutritious supply is there so that this embryo can grow until it finds the favorable condition, the right soil, the right place to grow. All these other parts will be helping the seed to survive. Okay, now why seed formation is important? Because obviously through seed only it can form the next generation of plants, right? And it will protect the embryo, and any harsh condition is there, this embryo is inside the seed, so it is taken care of, and it will help in continuing the species to the next generation. Okay, when the seed will find a favorable condition like the correct water, oxygen, temperature and so on, then it will imbibe the water, it will swell up, the seed coat will break, the embryo will come out, and it will start forming the shoot and the root. Okay, so this forms a small seedling, and then this seedling will further grow into a plant. So this whole process is called what? It's called as germination. Clear, everybody? So definitely do scan the QR code and join the WhatsApp community if you want all of these notes. So these notes are made very, very crisp and understandable so that you can use for your last minute revision. Okay, so definitely do subscribe if you still have not subscribed. Okay, now before we continue, in Xylem we have the fast track batch for the NEET preparing students of 2026. So you can use the Mega 15 code and get a 15% off. We have Thalapathy and the VETRI batches, which you can join with a 30% off right now using the Mega 30 coupon code. And we have our exclusive online crash, which is the XPL. So Xylem Premier League is there for your preparation, and you just have to use the code XPL10 to get a 10% off in this. So very, very affordable rates, but very, very high quality waiting for you. So definitely scan this QR code and join the course. Okay, now we have seen how the sexual reproduction happens in the plants. Now, how does it happen in the animal? Or if you say human beings in particular. So what happens is, from a child, okay, so through your childhood, from a child stage, you move into something called as the adolescent stage. Okay, so it is the period where the reproductive tissues will mature, there will be hormonal changes. Okay, so there will be changes that happen in both the genders. Okay, in terms of physical as well as mental states, there will be a lot of changes that will happen, and after that the girls and boys are now women and men who are ready to reproduce. Okay, so there is breast development, menstruation that starts in the girls, and in case of the boys there is facial hair that comes, the voice cracks, penis enlargement, everything happens in the boys. So now this period of change where there is sexual maturation is that the body grows to the size of an adult. Okay, then the growth will slow down. Okay, so from let's say maybe 5 years to 15 years, there will be so much of a difference, but from 20 to 30 there might be very less of a difference. Okay, so like that, growth will slow down and the reproductive organs will mature. So when the maturation is happening, there are some signals that will be produced, and that will cause visible changes also, indicating that the animal is ready to mate. Okay, so why special reproductive organs are there? Because obviously in sexual reproduction you need to transfer the germ cells and you have to fuse it, right? So for this, humans use internal fertilization. So the male needs organs to transfer the sperm into the female, and female will need the organs that will support and develop the child. Okay, now when you come to the male reproductive system, the primary sex organ where the male gametes are produced is nothing but the testis. Okay, now the testis will produce the sperm, and where is this testis? It is located in a pouch like structure called the scrotum. Okay, and why it is placed outside of the body is because it needs a lower temperature needed for the processes to take place. Okay, now from the testis we have a tubular structure called as the vas deferens that will bring the sperms from the testis up to the glands. Okay, there are multiple glands, there is seminal vesicle, there is prostate, and all of these glands will give secretion for the sperms to be getting enough nutrition for transporting them, for making sure that they are alive and they are fit and fine before they reach the egg. Okay, now the common tract that will take both the sperm as well as the urine out of the body is the urethra, and out of the urethra we have the mature sperms that will be released. Okay, now after cell division it will be like a normal cell, but it will differentiate into something called as the sperm, which has the head. Okay, so head will have the genetic material, and then it will have a middle piece, okay, which will have some energy providing organelles, and then it will have a tail. Okay, now along with this there will also be a small cap on the top which will contain the enzymes. Okay, so why? They have to penetrate through the egg and they have to reach the cell, no? So for that they'll have some enzymes also. Okay, now coming to the female reproductive tract, the primary sex organ here is what? The ovaries. Okay, these ovaries will produce the eggs and they will produce a lot of hormones. Okay, so in the girls what happens is, so in the boys the process will start only when the boys will come to a puberty stage. But in the females, the ovaries will already have a lot of eggs at birth itself. Okay, so a lot of immature eggs will be there, and after puberty, one by one, the eggs will mature and it will get released every month. Okay, so where is it released? It's released into a tube-like structure called as the fallopian tube, and this will lead to the uterus, which is an elastic chamber where the baby will develop in case the fertilization will take place. Okay, now below the uterus we have a small tunnel like structure called the cervix, and then there is a tubular structure called the vagina. Okay, so this is the pathway through which the sperm will enter and the baby will be born during the birth. Clear, everybody? Now once the sperms will enter the vagina, they will climb up to the oviduct or the fallopian tube. So same time, if we have another egg cell coming to the same place, then the fertilized egg will form the zygote. Now this zygote will start dividing, and it will become a small chuntani embryo which will come and implant into the wall of the uterus. Okay, now once it gets implanted, what happens is this small embryo is there, no? This will give some extensions, the mother's body will give some extensions. Together they will produce one major functioning organ called as the placenta. So it is some special tissues which will have both embryo and the mother's blood, and they are the one who will help in exchanging oxygen this side, waste product that side. Anything that comes and goes can do that only through the placenta. Now from there only we have the umbilical cord which will connect the baby and the mother. Okay, now this embryo is now attached, placenta is formed, so full 9 months it is going to develop inside the mother's body, right? Now once the 9 months of development is over, then this baby will be expelled out because of uterine contraction that will take place. So a lot of hormones will work together. It involves the hormones, the brain signals, and everything together will help to push the baby out. Clear, everybody? Now the last topic you need to know is the menstrual cycle and reproductive health. Now menstruation will happen if the fertilization does not take place. Okay, so if there is no fertilization, the cushion in the uterus and the lining and everything will get destroyed. Okay, it will be broken and it will come down through the vagina. Now ma'am, what is this cushion? I'll tell you exactly that, but this is what will happen in the menstruation phase. Okay, and this will happen once a month. That is why they call it a menstrual cycle. So it will be roughly between 2 to 6 days. Okay, sometimes even 8 days it will be having the menstruation. Now once this menstruation is complete, then what happens? Again the body will start making the new egg and then building the cushion. What cushion is this building? So if in case fertilization happens, the baby has to come and sit in the cushion? No. So for that, the body will start developing the cushion. Now later when they realize that okay, there is no fertilization, end of the cycle, which is roughly 28 to 30 days, what happens is the again uterine lining will break and then the egg will be not fertilized. So it will all come out as the blood and the mucus. Okay, so this cycle will repeat repeat itself every single month, and it will indicate that the woman is she has the ability to reproduce. Clear, everybody? Now, reproductive health is nothing but physical, emotional, and social well-being of the individuals. Okay, so all matters related to sex should be clean, okay, and should be clear to all the people. Now, sexual maturation does not mean somebody is ready for sexual activity. Okay, so there has to be a certain maturity in terms of thinking and all that, so that somebody can be responsible parents to another offspring. Clear, everybody? So what is the social pressure during adolescence? Now what happens is they want to indulge in a lot of unwanted activities. Okay, so once you hit that adolescence, you have curiosity, you have different ways in which you want to explore different things, right? So this urge will create a lot of pressure. Okay, there is also pressure from the family. Some people are forced to marry or have children when they are very young. Apart from that, there are other pressures from the society and government, who will say that you should not have any you should avoid pregnancies, this is not the time for you to reproduce, so on and so forth. And also making responsible choices becomes a very difficult point during this adolescent age, which is roughly between 14 to 18 to 19 years of age. Okay, that's when you call the adolescence period ideally. So this age is when you should be aware of certain sexually transmitted diseases, because they can spread through contact and close body interaction. Any kind of sexual activity can transmit this disease. So what are the common STDs? Gonorrhea, syphilis, HIV, warts, like that, so many are there. But then usage of condom can definitely reduce the transmission of this infection, including HIV. Okay, that is why it is commonly used. Now, why you should use any kind of contraception, which means any kind of a device or a substance to help you stop an unwanted pregnancy, is because any sexual intercourse can lead to a pregnancy. So if any early or unplanned pregnancy is there, it can definitely harm the woman's physical as well as mental health. Okay, so that is why all of these methods should be used to avoid any kind of unwanted pregnancy. Okay, now what are the different contraceptive methods that are there? Firstly, we have barrier methods, which is basically stopping the sperm from reaching the egg. So it can be condoms, female condoms, barriers, other things that can be used. Then hormonal method is you're fooling the body and telling, Macha, you already finished ovulation da. So body also will think, oh, ovulation is over. Okay, let's continue. And it will forget to ovulate. So once you cheat your body like this, what will happen? Ovulation is prevented. So if the egg doesn't come out at all, then there will be no fertilization also. Okay. Now, what are the side effects that can happen? Definitely, a lot of side effects will be there, because hormones itself you are changing. What are the hormones? They are nothing but the chemical messengers of our body, right? So if you start messing around with them, they will also mess back with you. Okay, apart from that, there are some devices called the intrauterine devices, and these are placed inside the uterus. For example, copper T or loops, okay, which will help to avoid the fertilization or implantation in the uterus. Okay. Now, there are surgical methods. Now, if none of these methods are working, directly you can go for the surgical method. So, in the surgical method, okay, especially vasectomy and tubectomy. So, in the males, we call it vasectomy because vas deferens will be cut and it will be tied. Now, tubectomy because the tube, the fallopian tube will be cut and tied. So why we should cut and tie it? Now in the process, the gamete will be coming out. Now if we cut and tie the tubes, then the gamete cannot come out at all. So as a result, it will die there only and the body tissues will absorb it. It will not come out. So there is no chance of producing a zygote. Clear, everybody? Now this is a long-term surgery, okay, so it has to be done properly so that no complications will take place. But in both males and females, we're not messing with the hormones, we're not messing with the organs, so there will be no problem at all in any kind of in whatsoever it may be, okay, in any kind of menstruation or any other physical changes will not happen because of these surgical methods. Okay, now apart from all of this, if in case somebody gets pregnant and they do not want to proceed with that pregnancy, then you can go for a surgical termination. Okay, so when you have unwanted pregnancy, in the legal and safe way, you can also abort the child. But this can be easily misused because a lot of people find out that it's a girl and then they go and murder the child. All these kind of things is still happening in many parts of India. So it's very important to understand that this medical termination is not something everybody can directly go and do. There is a lot of procedures, lot of consents, lot of permissions that has to be taken from the doctors, from the teams before going for these kind of procedures. Okay, so female feticide and sex ratio. So female feticide is definitely a lot of problem in India. Okay, the reason being there is a lot of illegal prenatal sex determination. Okay, the doctor will find out if it's a girl, they'll tell the parent, and then they will go ahead for destroying the baby because they don't want a girl child. Okay, so this kind of problem is happening, because of which there may be a lot of males compared to the females in the society. But a healthy ratio is definitely needed for a healthy society. Okay, now if you look at population and living standards, see, if there is too many people, let's say there is a family and they have 15 children, then they have to give food, water, education, a place to live, like that. They have to provide for all the 15 children. So imagine how much of money they will need, how much of resources they will need, which they may not be able to get. Now the same family, if they had only 2 children or they had 1 child, then what will happen? All this money, all this energy, all these efforts they can invest on this one particular child. So then what will happen? The child will get better food, it will get better education, better facilities to live in, because definitely the population size is linked to the resources and the living condition. Okay, so there is a lot of pressure on food, housing, education, jobs and all that when there are big families and there is explosion in the population. Okay, but social inequality is the reasons why poor becomes poorer, rich becomes richer. You must have heard that, right? Because we are not equally giving all the opportunities to everybody, and that is definitely a major problem. So the more we try to keep the population under control, the better we will be able to cater to the individuals of the society. Okay, everybody, now with this our entire countdown series for the day 32 is over. I hope this was clear to you. The link for the test is there in the description box. Definitely do attempt the test without fail. All the notes is available in your WhatsApp community, and apart from that, definitely do subscribe our channel. Now Xylem has exclusive courses lined up for you. So we have fast track batch, Thalapathy, repeaters, VETRI batch, and now we are launching the XPL, which is the Xylem Premier League. You can start now and you can crack NEET exam without any hustle. Okay, everybody, so I hope this class was useful to you. Definitely do subscribe and do comment if you have any doubts. Okay, see you all very soon. All the best.